Hello YouTube and welcome back to World of Warships with Wadres, and today this video is going to be the last video that I put out from the perspective of the real-time strategy aircraft carrier gameplay. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the quick, well okay, not exactly quick, but definitely fun strike montage. Alright, with that out of the way, let's get into today's match, which is me on the map Hotspot in my Tier 10 US aircraft carrier, the Midway, which is, to my understanding, considered one of the most widely nerfed ships in the game, to be honest, especially considering the power she had when she initially started off, and just, it seemed like every change coming down the line for aircraft carriers has affected the Midway in some way or other. So I dare say that she's getting slammed yet again with the upcoming CV rework, but you know what, that's something else entirely. I will say that I am glad, or I am lucky that I decided to finish her off and push her into the final stages before the CV rework, just so that I make sure that I have all of the aircraft carriers fully unlocked, and that way I can benefit fully from the experience points and credit refunds that are being given after the aircraft carrier rework patch 8.0 goes live. So there's definitely going to be that. Unfortunately, I am starting to wish that I had pushed for her a little bit sooner and just gotten her finished off so that I could enjoy her a little bit more, because I'm actually finding that as she is in the RTS, which unfortunately I'm not going to get to play with anymore, I'm loving this ship. She is just powerful enough to be able to handle her own in a fight. Her strike capacity is phenomenal, and I'm for the first time since I've started actually playing World of Warships, since I've started working with CVs, I have actually found a U.S. aircraft carrier that I loved. And I, again, really wish that I had pushed for her earlier on, because I think it's a shame that I'm no longer going to be able to get to play this version of her. Hi. Anyway, that whole little sob story aside, I do just kind of want to talk about my viewpoint on the aircraft carriers a little bit and the way I played them. Because I am a very, I'm not sure devout is quite the right word I'm looking for, a dedicated co-op player. I only really saw enemy bot CVs, so if I wanted to try manual drops or things like that, I could, but I didn't have to. I could always do auto drops, and they worked out just fine without having to play all kinds of games trying to lure the enemy CV in and things like that. Instead, what I played was a little bit more of an escorted strike carrier game, which was I would set my fighters up guarding my torpedo bombers or a couple of my strike squadrons, and I would have them basically tail my strike squadrons once they had been grouped up and clumped up to the target, to ensure that my strike got through to the target in case the enemy fighters came along and started trying to work me over. And it's actually something that's worked reasonably well for me through just about all of the aircraft carrier iterations, except the most recent, I guess I could say, nerf to the U.S. aircraft carriers, which, as anybody knows, left the U.S. aircraft carriers with fixed squadrons. Granted, it was a bonus because in that regard, I wasn't having to deal with enemy strike squadrons that were larger or smaller than what I already had, but at the same time, I just found it annoying that I no longer had the ability to have, say, a spare fighter squadron that could engage the enemy aircraft carrier and another one that could go off taking care of diver torpedo bomber squadrons. So now, granted, that's something that I've also had to deal with in the Japanese aircraft carriers, and that's actually something that I've enjoyed about the Japanese aircraft carriers. It's just the flexibility of their squadron builds, as opposed to just the fixed and almost stale setup that was given to the U.S. aircraft carriers. So, yeah. But the only problem was, especially when you had the Lexington, you only had, like, I think it was one fighter squadron still, which made no sense given the loadouts, and it sucked. The Essex was a little bit better because you had a little bit more strike power, but even so, it was... I had very little fun actually playing that ship, just because of the way her builds were set up, and also especially because of the fact that because her strikes sucked, her economy sucked, which wasn't even really good to begin with, because aircraft economy, or aircraft carrier economy, has just been lousy for a long time. So coming into a ship like the Midway, it's a step up. It's an incredible improvement, having that extra torpedo squadron, having two sets of each strike aircraft, and it just makes it so much easier to play. It's like playing the Hakuyu and having all of the strike squadrons on that CV. I mean, hell, as soon as I unlocked the Hakuyu, I knew I was going to love her, aside from the fact that her planes were fragile as all get out. But just the sheer power of her strike squadrons was... it was worth having. And that's something that is not going to be experienced ever again by anybody playing aircraft carriers in World of Warships from this day forward. Anyway, just, I guess, breaking away from that little bit of melancholy, I guess you could say. Again, this match, 152,000 credits, or 152,000 damage, sorry. Almost 300,000 credits earned, 4,500 experience points, 1,289 free experience points, and yes, I was running some bonus flags, I believe. 34 bomb hits, 37 aircraft shot down, and 11 torpedo hits, which for an aircraft carrier, U.S. aircraft carriers especially, is an incredible number. And I was second on the team. Our Grosser Kurfürst was first off, and I will definitely give him kudos, big time kudos for pulling that off. Overall, 68,000 damage done with torpedoes, about 85,000 done with AP bombs, and the one flooding I caused did 0 damage because it was plugged immediately. I did tank a little bit of damage, oddly enough, and I do apologize for the guy I ran into. I really do. That's the downside of playing an aircraft carrier. You set your ship on autopilot and you really don't have any control over what it does afterwards. And, of course, final statistics, 199,000, or basically 200,000 credits earned net for the match after everything. And I'll tell you what, the premium camo on this aircraft carrier is a godsend. As far as everything else, yeah, all kinds of bonuses, so that is how it is. And of course, coming down to the end of everything, my commander earned 9,575 experience points. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the match. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. And we wave farewell to the RTS aircraft carriers. Happy hunting!